Storm Riders. Welcome everyone to It Tastes Different Gaming. In this episode, we're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxies. Guardians of the Galaxy was developed by Eidos-Montréal. It was published by Square-Enix. It came out on pretty much everything, except for calculators. That's the only thing it didn't come out on. On October 26, 2021, it is an action-adventure, single-player, story-driven game following the Guardians of the Galaxies. If you're not familiar with them, watch the movie. I don't know. Where have you been? In a cave recently? I mean, it's a pretty popular movie, and the game is not based off the movie. It's more based on the comic books, but we're going to go around and see what everybody thought of this game. So let's see here. Shane, you're smiling. How about you, buddy? What do you think of Guardians of the Galaxies?
All right, well, I'm going to start off with what I didn't like, which is very little. Because I think the weakest part of the game is it's what feels like a nerfing of your main character, the one you play as primarily, which is Star-Lord, Peter Quill. The game focuses on 100% teamwork. It is about teamwork. As Peter Quill, you're a wuss. Yeah, you are a leader of the team, but there's really nothing special about you. You get really cool abilities, don't get me wrong, but it felt like you should be a little stronger of a character. That is my only problem. That's it. The teamwork aspect of it just builds through the entire thing. You unlock new abilities for each of your characters, Drax, Rocket, Groot, Gamora, and you find ways to work it, and combine and all that stuff. I don't want to delve in too much. I'll let you guys talk too, but that was one thing I was worried about, was the combat at first, because when you first fire it up, to me, I was like, oh, this is going to suck ass. And they fell in love with it. Just 15 minutes later, fell in love. The strongest aspect of this thing is story, or excuse me, not story, dialogue. The story is good, but the dialogue is fantastic, just fantastic. And I'm talking from the story itself to just banter. You go off looking for side stuff, this game picks up on it. This game talks. It gives it life, and it's fantastic the way it is, the way it's done. Super props to the developers, because it took me from 0 to 60 of crap to fun in a heartbeat. And I was worried about it at first, but I loved it. I'm happy. I can't wait for a sequel. I really can't. So before I dig in too much, Pat, fire away.
I don't really have a whole lot negative to say about the game. I wish it was a little bit longer, to be honest with you. I mean, I finished it pretty quickly myself. What Shane would say is the weakest link is the combat, in my opinion, is the best part, because it allows you to sit back and just guide your team, because that's what constantly you're doing. You're constantly just looking for that opening and go, okay, I'm going to sick Drax on this guy, or I'm going to sick Groot to hold this guy down while I didn't have Rocket bomb the crap out of them all, or vice versa, or bomb and pull them all in, does like a warp bomb and pulls everybody in, and then everybody else just dogpiles. So, I mean, I think that's the best part is Peter Quill. I just get to sit back and direct that giant orchestra of combat going on. So I thought that was the cool part about it. The story was really good. I'm glad that they deviated from what they were doing in the movies and go closer with the comic book series and stuff like that. So it's a completely different story. If you've seen the movies and not a comic book fan, then this is going to be a new story for you. And I highly, highly think you should check it out. It's a really great game. I enjoyed it. I beat it pretty quick. Like I said, once I picked it up, I couldn't put it down. So it was one of those games for me. Picked it up, couldn't put it down. The only thing I will complain about is somebody needs to fix the damn fridges in the game. All the fridges are broke. The door's always open. We got a bunch of lazy asses on all the ships. They don't shut the door's broke. I don't know. That's my biggest complaint. There should have been an achievement. Close the refrigerator over 100 times. Because I think every time I walk by, I'm like, who the hell left this damn thing open? Shut it every time. That was my biggest complaint. outside of that, game is hilarious. Game's fun. Game has choices that affect the outcome of the game. So there's different ways. So it's got a replayability to it, in my opinion. So when we talked about this game, when we saw it come out, when we saw the preview for it last year, I was really hesitant. I'm like, this is going to be really hard for me to get behind these characters because I'm so used to the movie characters now. Their dialogue, their voices. And after about 30 minutes to an hour, that completely was gone out of my brain. It's just the characters mesh well and everything. So I'm highly for it. Nick, what were your initial thoughts on this one, man?
Well, I think I was the only one that in that preview that was kind of excited to play it. And I'm not. You guys are more into the Marvel. I mean, I like Marvel and everything, but you guys have seen like everything and all that stuff. And I have seen like a few Marvel movies here and there. So I'm not a big movie person. But I was like, oh, that looks good. And you're like, eh. So, but yeah, I agree. This game is great. It hooked me too. I played it from, once I started, I didn't stop till the credits rolled. Like Shane said, the commentary between the different characters is fantastic. They're always talking, always commenting on stuff. Like the dialogue never stops. And it's great because it's funny. It can be serious. There's moments in the game that can also follow that. There are some somewhat sad moments in there, and there's some really hilarious moments and, different aspects. It just kind of goes all over the place like a roller coaster sometimes. But the game's great. It's got great exploration. You're never in the same place for very long. You're always moving to planet or place to place. There's lots of exploration. Perks and skills to unlock, and combat situations are varied. They're not just always the same type of combat situation. Like Patrick said, there's decisions you can make that do change certain outcomes. So there's a lot of things that play into the game that it just makes it really fun, and it does have that replayability. Also, this is probably no spoiler, but there is a new game plus mode once you beat it, so it does allow you to go back through. From what we've found, I mean, you pretty much through your first time through, you're probably going to unlock everything. I think the new game plus is just allow you to play with all your perks already unlocked and just choose different choices as you go through the game and stuff like that. So but yeah, overall this game was great. I loved it. I thought it's definitely an awesome game and definitely worth every penny you put into it. So, high praise here from me on that. But, there was a lot of different, I mean, for you guys, not with the main characters. There are a lot of side characters in the game that you come across. For you guys, who was your favorite side character?
Mantis. Sorry, Pat. I had to jump at her. Mantis. I could listen. I could listen to her all day. The dialogue they gave her was not only it was smart the way they did it, because the way she would talk about what's happening in the story, it was also like just random as shit possible. It was wonderful. It was fantastic. She was definitely my favorite side character. Sorry, Pat, you go ahead now.
I got Mantis. Going to be mine anyway. No, I prefer Cosmo. Cosmo was mine. I thought he was hilarious.
He was good.
He was good. And so, if you read the comics, Cosmo is. If you watch the movies, you may have seen Cosmo because he's a very quick appearance in the collector's collection. But outside of that, so you'll get to see him if you're, out of that. What about you, Nick? Did you have kind of a favorite side guy or side character in there?
Well, my favorite was probably, and it's a very short interaction, but Lipsless. That moment in the game is probably, for me, one of the funniest, best moments in the game. And it's a short segment, but it's hilarious, and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a whole funny scene because you can bomb that scene. That's what's funny about this. There's different like cut scenes in the game, and you have to keep pumping the right dialogue, or else you can fail like checks. Basically, they're like, it's like, think of D&D like rolling for a perception or a check. Except for this one, you're picking the right dialogue, and you can screw the pooch You know, I doesn't appear that he had any outcome on the end of the game, but I need to go back and read a little bit more because he never showed up once we did that scene. But I kind of wonder what happened if you bombed it. Do you kill him or do you guys fight or, we'll see. But yeah, it's early on in the game when you run into him. So there's a lot of memorable scenes and memorable characters and everything in there. They took some liberties with a few things, but overall, it's still very well written. It flowed really nice. And like I said, when I got to the end of it, I really wanted a little bit more. I wasn't quite ready to end that game. And so it's really, think about it, if you think about gameplay, it's a lot of like storytelling and dialogue, but then it's broken up with scenes of exploration and combat. And combat, like Shane says, you're pretty much a weakling. And by that means you're not going to get in the mix. You get in the mix, you're going to die.
You are a Terran, basically.
Yeah, you're a Terran. Everybody else is not. You got just Drax, the Destroyer of Worlds, the Assassin, Gamora, Rocket, and Groot. I mean, come on, they're all supernatural beings, but technically you're not. If you know the comic books, you're not. You're a half Celestial, half Terran. But, so it's an interesting concept. But the combat was kind of cool because, as we had mentioned, every character has 3 main abilities that you unlock progressing through the story, or by buying the points for them while you're going, and the 1 ultimate. So every character, including Peter Quill, has 3 abilities and 1 ultimate. And basically, it's kind of like it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Max Payne bullet time, right? Because as soon as you pull up that side menu for him, the time slows down. It doesn't stop. You can slow it down even more by buying perks, but so it slows down and lets you pick the abilities. Because basically, it's all about chaining abilities to do things such as knocking the big guy down on the ground so he takes more damage, or destroying shields so that everybody else can do more damage and stuff. And, and Peter Quill, who is you, is primarily just basically conducting that orchestra of combat. You're just sitting in the back going, you go there, you do this. And then you have the huddles. The huddles are really cool because the huddles let you just kind of, everybody's getting the crap beat out of them. Everybody's almost out of health. It lets you pull them all in and have like a pep talk that you can completely bomb. A pep talk comes out in one of 2 ways. Either you walk away with a buff only, or the whole team walks away with a buff. And it's like a health and damage buff. So,
and I have to say, I did not think I was going to like it at first, because the first one I popped up, it gave me like a crappy song. And I failed it because I didn't pay attention to what I was supposed to do. That was on me. But I found that as soon as LBRB popped up, boom, I was nailing it. And the final boss, man, I got a great song out of it, man. I was in the groove. It was such a perfect song for the end boss. And I don't know if these songs are random. I think they are. I would guess they are, because you can get you can do the team thing at any time.
Right.
So I would imagine there's a set amount of songs.
They almost seem like they were designed for the encounter, especially if you did it during the boss encounter. Yes. Some of them, like when you're fighting Fin Fang Foom, I was like, there's no freaking better song than this one when it kicked on for fighting Fin Fang Foom. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it is a little random, maybe not. I have to look into that, but yeah, that's kind of cool. And basically you have to key off of the pep talk, basically have to key off to what they're saying. So as they're saying stuff, words flash in the background, and then you have to make a decision on what you're going to try to do a pep talk. And sometimes your pep talk just goes, falls flat, and you're the only one pepped up, and the rest of them are just like, whatever. Yeah. You suck, Peter, So that's kind of cool stuff. And like I said, all the perks and stuff. And then all the bosses have different trigger abilities where you have to hit buttons and stuff and things. So it's really kind of an interesting concept. Some of them are not intuitive, I will say. I remember the first time I saw the left and right trigger and the thing come up, and I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Am I going to line them up and down? So some of it's not intuitive enough, but for the most part they are. It's like push Y when the circle gets to the right size or something when you're fighting a boss to kind of end him and down him quicker. So, and then it kicks up music. It's really great. I'm pretty sure this is a streamer's worst nightmare game, because the entire time you're streaming it, you have to turn off turn on the streamer mode, which basically kills all the music in the game, which in my opinion brings it home a lot of times.
Absolutely. Now, Nick, you've seen the Guardian movies, right? Or just one of them?
The first one, yeah.
First one. Now, me and Pat, we watched all the Marvel stuff. Like Pat brought up earlier, it took 15, 30 minutes to get used to the voice actors, and they did a phenomenal job. The voice acting in this thing is amazing. Normally, I'm a little pissy about voice acting. I'm a little picky. I'm from the great, era of Final Fantasy X voice acting. You just can't beat it. But they nailed it. The other night we Googled up some of the voice actors, and we were fighting. Oh man, because I know like Mantis's voice. I know I've heard her before, but the voice acting is fantastic. Even though it's hard to get through that originally without the movie people, but now I don't think I could watch the movies without wanting to hear the voice actors of the game. Nick, how do you feel about the comparison of the two? I mean, you're not a big Marvel movie person now.
Well, I like the actors in Guardians, but I'm glad they didn't use them. And the reason why is because I don't think the project would have went the way it did. They got probably cheaper actors. Those movie stars, they would be expensive, so this would be a higher budget. They would really try to like turn this game into like this. Square-Enix would put the spotlights on it and red carpet and everything for it. Because they had these big name actors. And the great thing about this game, it was kind of like a out of nowhere type of thing. We didn't know it was coming, and then we had that whatever preview it was, or maybe it was E3 or something like that, and they just kind of showed it off for a minute and never talked about it again until it was close to coming out. And then I was like, oh yeah, that Guardians game is coming out, and it ended up being fantastic. If they had Chris Pratt and all these all the other actors and stuff like that in there, they would have been talking about it from here to there. Every single day you would have heard about the Guardians of the Galaxy game, and it may not have turned out as good as it did. So yeah, I'm glad they didn't add them, and I knew they were different voice actors. So for me, I put that out of my head as soon as I started playing. I knew it was going to be different people. So I said, okay, just don't expect the movie people and expect different people. And as long as they do a good job, which I think they did an excellent job with them. So, hey, I'm good with it, And yeah, if you love 80s music, this game's full of it. So
yeah, it's definitely, it's a streamer's nightmare, but a gamer's delight, right? Because I saw the streamer thing because they don't license all the music in there.
Right.
And so it's definitely it was really good. I was not sold on it during the preview, and up to the point where we bought it, I wasn't sold on it. I'm like, all right, whatever, I'll give it a try. We agreed as a group to try this one, and I got into it, and I am so glad we did, because I was passing this one off, because as Nick said, they didn't hype it at all. We saw that trailer, and I think it was around this time. It was around, maybe it was E3 or the VGAs or something that we were talking, the virtual VGAs or something. And this came out, and I'm like, why has Rocket got this weird braided beard? And I'm like, I don't know about this. I'm not getting behind these guys. And the voice actors were throwing me off. But I have to admit, I was pleasantly wrong. I was pleasantly surprised, and I am glad that we agreed to pick this one up, because I don't know if I'd have picked it up without the group.
Oh, absolutely. I was thoroughly impressed. They just for the fans, they stick more to the comics. They still have their leeways, but they stick a lot more to the comics than the movies ever have. I love the little details. Drax in this movie is so much better and that's not an insult to Dave Bautista. He does a great job in the movies, but the Drax character and voice acting is fantastic. And little details of him and his backstory and Gamora and all that. They throw all this hintingly at you without, giving you a bunch of origin crap, because we all know origins basically. But the little details in the game were just amazing. If you look around the ship when you're, between missions, you brought up Rocket's Fu Manchu thing here. Did you notice his little braid is a baby Groot? I was like, that is so cool. I mean, it's just, it's really hard not to just overhype this game. I mean, is it perfect? No, but is it amazing? Yes.
Is it a full buy? Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Full price buy.
I'm going to put this game in my Game of the Year collection, because I think it's that good, because the surprise of it being amazing as it is, which, like you said, Pat, it just we didn't really give two craps when we saw the trailer. It was like one we would check out a little bit more when we got information, but never put two bits of thought into it. And the next thing you know, oh, that's coming out soon. So I give it credit there. So it's definitely going in my game of the year list. I think $60 is a well worth buy because you're getting, I think, plenty of time in. You're getting amazing quality time. I love this game. I do.
All right. Yep. At first, I was like, this would be better co-op. And then as we played through it, I'm like, nope, this is a really perfect single player game. I was thinking, hey, Shane would be a good Groot. But, no. But then it turned out I was wrong. This game works so well as a single player game. There's no need for it to have co-op or anything. I think co-op would ruin it. Like I said, because you're the orchestrator of all the combat as Peter Quill.
If they went with a full-fledged action RPG kind of thing, I think maybe co-op would be kind of pop in, pop out, be fine. But with the combat system, it's perfect single player. Yep.
As you guys have all said, if they had the voice actors from the movie in there, we'd have less of a dialogue. They can't afford to pay Vin Diesel more than $1 million to say "I am Groot" once or twice, and Chris Pratt,
He's busy being Mario.
Yep. I was going to say. And Garfield. Now, yep. It's a Mia Mario was not in there. So none of the voice actors were the original actors, which is good. It probably gave them, like you guys said, more money to put into other places rather than the voice acting, which I think helped because the game, we got the game day one release. I didn't run into really any bugs. I can't remember anything that was like game breaking.
I did want to ask you about that. I ran into the worst lag, and I'm not blaming the game.
Yes, I forgot about that. When you're doing the Fin Fang Foom one, when you're going to get...
No problem with Fin Fang Foom.
Oh, no.
It was
Mine was when I was in the temple.
Yeah,
I believe it was, or before the temple.
Mine was the outside of the spaceship in like 14, I think it is, Mission 14.
Yeah, I think that's right. That's where I saw it too.
Or maybe it was then. I don't know. I probably had the same thing you guys had because there was like huge drops. I thought it was because I was using quick resume. Yep. So I thought it was quick resume. I was like, oh, I've quick resumed this too many times. Let me just close out of it completely and go back in.
Yeah. I did that and it fixed it.
I did the same thing and it fixed it as well.
I was gonna say I only had that happen once and then I rebooted it, didn't fix it, but when I got out of the area it just cleared up. So I just thought maybe it was a poorly rendered area or something, but that was it. It was like a little 5-10 minute area and I'm like, okay, I'm out of it and it's gone.
Yeah. It was about 5 minutes. Took me 20 because it dropped real bad.
The frames probably went down to like 5. I was like in molasses running. And I'm like, what is going on here?
But that's it. I didn't run into anything else where it just locked me out or did anything stupid. Quick resume always came back just fine. Oh, yeah. It was, and for a day one game, that's pretty good.
And did they have a patch? Does anybody remember?
I don't think they released a patch at any time that we were playing it. And I'm sure that portion that we talked about will probably get patched out and fixed. The only other problem, the only other thing, which is nice, this is the nice thing about the game, is sometimes you will get stuck and the game unsticks you. And that is super nice because there's times where, because you have kind of like ragdolls physics when you get knocked over and stuff like that. Sometimes the enemies will knock you into a small section where you're stuck in the ground. And after a few, like 10 seconds or so, the game realizes that and goes, oh, he's stuck. And it'll port you like on the ground next to it. So that's really nice. I was like, great, I'm going to have to restart my checkpoint. Then boop, and I was back on the thing. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, I loved that. I found that out too when I was scrummaging around to trying to find the secret stuff in there, extra costumes and whatnot. I got stuck between some crates. And I'm like, bouncing, trying to get out. It just said, teleport. I'm like, yes.
Yep. It notices if you're jumping around like a madman and don't go anywhere. It's like, oh, sweet, slide you out. So, overall, this was definitely a day one buy, and I'm glad that we all agreed to play this one because it's amazing. I think you should play it too, especially if you're a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. If you're a fan of single-player action-adventure games and you're not even a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, it's still a really good game.
Yeah, if you were one of those people that are disappointed with the movie, don't even worry about it. This has nothing to do with it. It's completely its own thing. Amazing voice acting, amazing everything. I only had that one little quip about it, and trust me, that ain't affecting squat. I love the game.
Yeah, I agree. This game is definitely worth $60. I mean, the game was so good, I would have paid $70 for it. You know? But don't tell them that.
No. Now, before we go, I got a quick question. Does this game, in all its awesomeness, we all agree it's awesome, does it make up for any way of Marvel Avengers?
No, this is what Guardians of the Galaxy is what Avengers should have been. And it wasn't. Avengers is crap compared to Guardians of the Galaxy. This game is phenomenal. This is a different developer, by the way. This isn't the same people. Crystal Dynamics, same publisher, Square-Enix, but Crystal Dynamics did Avengers. This is Eidos-Montréal that did Guardians. So
stuff.
Yeah. So, well, IO Interactive did. But anyway, the point is, this game doesn't make up for it, but, for the calamity that is Avengers. But this is a really great game that you should just say, if you don't like the Avengers game, you're like, it's an okay game. This is, and you're kind of like put off by that for this game. Don't be, because you will be completely satisfied playing through Guardians. But do you guys have anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
Shut the damn fridge.
Shut that damn fridge.
And do you notice there is another fridge just like that that's not on the ship that is also open?
Yep.
The one in your room is also open.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you
and
can't close
outside the in one of the scenes, there's one that's open.
They're all open. Nobody knows how to shut the damn fridge in this game.
Must be a joke in there somewhere that I missed. But all right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hope you like this one. Definitely go check out the Guardians of the Galaxy. Go pick it up today. It is definitely worth your time. But thanks everybody for watching. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell notifications to stay up to date on new videos that we do all the time. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
See ya.